What's up friends, Chook here, and welcome to my Bit Heroes free-to-play beginner's guide series. This video series is aimed at people who are interested in Bit Heroes, but aren't fully aware of what type of game it is, and for new players to the game who may be a little confused or unaware of some of the aspects and mechanics of the game. If you'd like to add me as a friend in Bit Heroes, please leave a comment with your in-game name and that you've sent me a friend's request. For example, I've sent you a friend's request, and my in-game name is ChickenLover. Now that's all said and done, let's begin. Welcome to Bit Heroes. So first things first, we should discuss what exactly is Bit Heroes, what type of game it is, and whether it's for you. So I would describe it as a semi-idle game. It's not fully idle where it plays itself and you just check in once in a while and collect the rewards and everything like that, like some idle games are, but it definitely has idle elements to it if that's the way you want to play it. You can do everything manually, or you can turn it onto auto in battle and stuff, but we'll get to that in a later episode, or maybe later in this episode. We'll see how we go. But for this initial episode, what I wanted to do is I want to go through all of the mechanics in the game, as far as quest, PvP, craft, all of these little buttons here, and what they do and what they're all about. But one thing to note is this is a very grindy game and a very farming game. So if you have low tolerance to games where you have to repeat the same thing over and over again to farm equipment or to grind XP or whatever it be, and you kind of just want to get strong early and, you know, just be equal with everyone type thing from the get-go, this isn't for you. But if you just enjoy kind of a relaxed, chill game where you just log in a couple times a day, or you could be online all day if you just want to, you know, chat to your guild friends or whatever, and just play at your own leisure, and, you know, don't mind waiting for the gear to come to you, and don't want everything handed to you on a silver platter, then Bit Heroes is great. So that will tell you whether this is kind of the game for you or not, in that mentality. Okay, so let's get started. And we'll go across the top here. So this here is gems. Now you can, if you click on this, just like any other mobile game. Oh, actually, that's a good point. Bit Heroes is a mobile game, both on iOS and Android. It is also on, you can do it on a browser, on your computer. And it's also on Steam, as of a few months ago now, actually. So it's pretty accessible. I play on my phone and on my Samsung phone and my iPad, and for these videos I am using my computer, but I like it on mobile as you can take it with you, and it's just, you know, something to kill time while you're waiting for something, or you know, waiting for the bus or in a doctor's waiting room or something like that. Either way, I've not spent 1 cent on this game. I am level 234, and this is the gear that I have. We'll go through this again later on, and these are my stats, but I've not spent 1 cent. So this game is entirely free to play, if you so choose, or you can spend money. And this is where the money comes in. So here are gems. And you can see here, I'm Australian, so this is not actually $4.99. This is probably more like $6 for me, but I'm pretty sure this is in US. So 500 gems, $5, 1,100 gems, $10, etc, etc. Gems are pretty damn expensive. You can also buy other things with gems, but gems is the thing that you will be spending your real life money on if you so choose. However, as a free-to-play player, these guide videos, this guide series, will be focused on free-to-play and not actually having to spend 1 cent in the game. What gems will do is, if you go to the shop down here, you can see that you could buy all this stuff with the gems. Now this particular item here, once in a while there will be a featured thing in the shop where you also have to spend real life money, but otherwise basically everything is gems. If you play regularly enough, gems kind of come okay speed. Like, you don't get a heap of them, but you get by. And as I said, I'm level 234 and I've never spent a cent, and I've got quite a few good things, looted everything without having to spend any money on gems. So it's entirely possible, and still fun. But we'll go into the shop in a later episode, but that's basically where you spend your gems. Next is gold. You spend gold to upgrade your equipment and to fuse familiars and stuff. We'll get into that in a later episode as well. This is your energy. When you start off, I think you may start off at 20 energy. I'm not even sure, actually, to be honest. But for every level that you go up... Oh, no, you would start at 100. I would think, because every level that you gain 1 energy to your maximum energy count. I'm at level 234, I've got 333, so what's that, 99 energy, 100 energy when you start, something like that. And then these are the PvP tickets. Energy is used, by the way, to do quests, to do world boss, and yeah, energy is basically your go-to standard, what's the word I'm looking for, consumable to be able to actually go out and do dungeons and things like that. Here, these are PvP tickets, which relates to this PvP thing here, and we'll get onto that as well later. Here is quest. If we click on this, we can open up the quest menu. Now, because I have completed all of this, these are grayed out, but when you start, you will start at this little flag here. Now, the terminology for this game is these are called flags, obviously, because they look like flags, and these are dungeons. Dungeon 1, so this would be flag 1, flag 2, flag 3, or F1, F2, F3. This would be dungeon 1, or D1. Flag 4, 5, 6, dungeon 2. Flag 7, 8, 9, dungeon 3. And then these aren't really talked about, but I guess you could call it dungeon 4 if you wanted to. This is just a combination of all these three together, effectively, so it's much harder than each individual one. You obviously need to do these in order, so you will start at flag 1. Once you complete that, you'll go to flag 2, you'll go to flag 3, and then you'll end up in dungeon 1. So if we click on dungeon 1, we can see that there's 3 different stars here. Star 1 will be for normal difficulty. Star 2, 2 stars will be for hard difficulty, and star 3, 3 stars will be for heroic. Now, normal costs 10 energy, hard costs 20, and heroic costs 30. But apart from just being a harder difficulty, you also get these bonuses here. So if you do normal, you get no bonuses. But if you go to hard, you get 150% item find, 100% XP, 100% gold find, and 100% capture rate. Now, what capture rate means is every single enemy in the game, including bosses and raid bosses and everything, you can capture. Kind of like Pokemon. Think of it that way. So every single enemy in the game can be captured. Obviously, some are super rare and all the rest of it, but it is entirely possible to capture every single enemy in the game. And then heroic obviously gets you better bonuses, but is harder again. Now, when you do the flags, you can only use yourself and any of the familiars, again, think Pokemon, that you have caught. So for flag 1, 2, 3, for instance, you would use your own character and any familiars that you have caught. But once you get to a dungeon, you can use anybody in your guild or your friends list. So it's quite important to try and join a guild as early as you possibly can. Doesn't matter what it is to start off with, and we'll get to guilds in a later episode, but if you could just join a guild to start with, do so. You could make your own, but that costs, I don't even know what it costs. It might even cost gems. So just join in a pre-existing guild. Now, the rule of thumb that most guilds and most players use is that if you've been offline for more than 24 hours, you generally get kicked. So this is quite an active community, quite an active game. So if you can't play every single day, you might struggle to keep some people in your friends list or stay in a guild, but as long as you log in once a day and reset that 24-hour countdown thing, you should be fine. So just make sure that you log in once a day. So the benefit of having the friends list and the guild for the dungeons is if all of these non-raid levels, so all the flags and all of the dungeons, you can use 3 characters. You have to use yourself, so then you can use 2 others. So again, flags, you can use 2 familiars, and dungeons, you can use 2, but you can still use familiars if you wanted to, but you could use 2 people from your friends list, or 2 people from your guild, or 1 of each, or whatever. 2 people from your friend or guild lists. Now, why that's good is, say that you're a level 10 player and you're up to the first dungeon, or second dungeon maybe, and I'm on your friends list, I'm level 234, which means that you will be able to clear these dungeons on heroic without even trying. It's a bit cheaty in that way. It's very power farming, but it's not exponentially. You will just go from level 10 to level 100 overnight, because once you beat the dungeon and you go to the next flag, you can't use your friends or guild list anymore, and you're back to using your familiars. And that's why you can't get too far. So once you get to a dungeon, always, if you can, do it on heroic. Now, it costs 30 energy compared to the 10 here, or 20 compared to hard, but these bonuses are well worth it. So 300% item find, dungeons obviously drop gear, as do the flags, but you can drop that you get dungeons and gear and stuff in dungeons. So 300% item find, more chance to get gear. 200% experience, obviously that you just level up quicker. 200% gold find, you get more gold, and capture rate lets you capture your familiars, pets, Pokemon, whatever you want to call them, a lot easier. So if you were to go in and do normal 3 times, it would cost the same amount of energy, but you wouldn't have all of these bonuses. So just instead of doing that, save up and do the heroic. Always, always, always do heroic dungeons if you can. So say that you've completed this on heroic and you get to the next dungeon here and you can't do it on heroic for some reason, then I would recommend you go back to the previous dungeon and farm that on heroic until you get strong enough that you can beat this one on heroic, and then farm this one until you're strong enough to beat this one. That's the basic gist of how the quest thing works. Once you beat the last dungeon here, you don't need to do this one. This one's optional. But once you beat the dungeon 1, dungeon 2, dungeon 3, you will unlock the next map. So the first map is called Bit Valley. Second map is called Winter Marsh. These are all the zones here. And then you start all over again. So you start down at Flag 1, Flag 2, Flag 3, Dungeon 1, Flag 4, Flag 5, Flag 6, Dungeon 2, Flag 7, Flag 8, Flag 9, Dungeon 3. Complete all of them. You don't need to complete them on heroic to unlock the next map. You just need to complete them on normal. But again, if you're trying to get gear and everything, always try and do them on heroic. You will need to do it. You'll need to unlock it, beat it on normal, and then beat it on hard. So once you beat it on normal, it will unlock hard. Once you beat it on hard, it will unlock heroic. So you can't do heroic off the bat, which is a bit annoying. But again, once you beat this last dungeon here, you will go to the next map, and so forth. Now, next we will go on to PvP. So the way PvP works is it's unlocked after you beat the second dungeon in the game. So if we go back to the first zone, oops, accidentally clicked that. If we go back to Bit Valley here, this is Dungeon 1, this is Dungeon 2. So Dungeon 2, Dryad's Heart. Once you beat that dungeon, you will unlock PvP. And how PvP works is, we'll do it now. We'll just do a round of PvP. I haven't been on much this week because it's just been Easter and I went away for Easter for 4 days. So I didn't really have a chance to play too much, which is why my rank and everything is so low, I guess. But you can, I've got 11 PvP tokens here. You can choose how many you want to use from 1 to 5. But again, the higher you go, so if we go to 2, you get bonuses all the way up to 5. You can see that you start off with 10 targets that you can choose from. If you go to using 5 tokens, you only have 3 because it takes away 7, but you get 5 times the points, 5 times the loot, experience, gold find, all the rest of it. So let's go with 5. You can select your team here. Your team is made up purely of the familiars that you have caught or fused together. So if I got rid of Korgs, for example, and we go add, these are all the familiars I have. You can't use your friends list or your guild list, so you just put in the familiars that you want. So I'm going to go with these, and then we go accept. Then we go play, and it will give us a list of 3 people. Now on the surface, it just shows you their total stats, how much you'll get for winning or how much you'll get for losing. But if you click on each individual player, you can see their gear. And then you can kind of gauge just from their gear I just do a quick glimpse at their gear. I don't go into their runes and enchants and stuff basically ever. Again, these are something we'll get to in a later episode, but I just go, okay, this guy's got, a rare pet and accessory slot, which again, we'll get into later. So check the next guy. Okay, this guy only has, that guy had an epic accessory and pet. This guy only has a rare accessory and pet. Even though he's a higher level, the fact that he has lower quality accessories and pets, and then this guy has legendary accessories and pets. So we'll go for this middle dude here, and we'll go fight. And we've picked our team already, so we can just hit accept. So this is how PvP works. You can see over here, there's an auto button. At the moment, we're doing manual. If we clicked this would just automatically choose what it wanted to do for us. But we'll go auto to show how this works. Down here, this is important. This is the speed option. If you don't have this clicked, you'll be at 1%, 3.5 or something, and then 5. I'm 1.4, 4.2, and 7 because I have a consumable equipped, which makes me get more speed. But that's something we'll go into in a sec. But we'll start at 1%, and it's very, very slow, as we can see. So basically, you just want to kill the other team, right? And each familiar that you have and yourself will all have different weapons or different skills. So at the moment, we're Korgs. So you can see the little icon there, the triangle showing that we're Korgs. And this is the moves that he has. So he has just a general attack to the closest enemy, which would be this guy, who's a tank. Deals its damage to the closest enemy. So this right here is free. This move costs 1 blue little token there, I guess. It's called SP, but this one also costs 1 SP, but you can see there it deals damage to target enemy, so we can choose any enemy we want. This one only does it to the closest enemy. So if we did this, we would hit the tank, whereas if we chose this one, we could attack anyone we want. This is a heal that we don't have access to yet because we only have 1 blue bar. We need 2, and this is another move. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and take out his Korgs because that's a damage dealer. So we'll go 3, select the target, and we'll click on his Korgs and try and do some damage. And he's done the same thing back. Now, this isn't real time. It's real time for us, but this is just someone else's team that's just in the database. So this guy isn't waiting for me to attack. So you can take as long as you want. This is our tank attacking here. He has an ability called Enrage. So when he takes damage, he becomes enraged. And then you can use that enrage power to do more damage. So the only move we can do with him at the moment is attack the closest target. So we may as well enrage ourselves and do a little bit more damage. So you see that this is at 1.4 speed. It's very, very slow. If we turn it up to 7 speed, it will go a lot faster. Now this is my backline guy here. I just fused him recently. He's one of the world bosses, which we'll get to. And I've just started using him to try him out. But same thing, he's got the closest damage, he's got a target damage. He's got this move which does a lot of damage to the furthest enemy, so it will be this rat guy, and then he's got some moves here that we haven't got SP for. So again, we'll try and take out the Korgs. Okay, this is us. I have a mythic, which is the highest tier you can get weapon. So I have a lot of different options here, and then I also have my mount option here. But effectively, it's just damage to closest. That's basically every single weapon you use. There's quite a few weapons in the game. Each weapon has its own set of skills. Every weapon's first attack will be just hit the closest enemy for free. Doesn't cost SP. This one will deal damage to the closest enemy. This one will be target. This one will deal damage to a random enemy and then 4 additional enemies. But you can see that the damage there is only 152 to 455, whereas this one, for example, is 500 to 1500. So again, we'll try and take this guy out with targeted attacks, which we have done. All we can do here is the closest attack. Again, closest attack. Again, closest attack. Now we've got the ability to target again. So we'll take out this rat at the back. And this is our tank as well. So our tank, he's also got this targeted move. I've gone with a whole team that can do this target move because it's very handy. You can pick off who you want rather than relying on, attacking them in order. And that's generally the meta, the kind of accepted thing to do, is to have familiars with this target enemy ability here. So we'll just enrage him and attack the player. As this is the tank here, he doesn't really do that much damage. So if we can attack him over the tank, we may as well. Just because the tank's just going to eat our damage and not really do much. We may as well get rid of the damage dealer, right? We will target enemy again. And we'll just take this guy down. Now, because I'm in such a good position here, and this guy's almost dead, this guy's almost dead, and we still got 4 people alive, I can just hit auto. And this is what I was saying before, early on, right at the start of the video actually, about this game being semi-idle. At the moment we're doing it manually, but if I just click this, it will be automatic, and it's effectively idle. So you can just click this, provided you know that you're going to win, or, have a very strong instinct that you're going to win, and the game can play for you. Now let's do PvP again, one more time, because I want to showcase if we did the battle auto without doing manual at all, and how it can potentially go wrong. It might not, but we'll see. So we'll go in here and we'll pick another candidate to attack. So this guy has an epic accessory, but a rare pet. This guy has rare and rare, so let's go with this guy. And I'll just auto this whole thing, and I'll take my hands away from the keyboard and everything, and just let it play out. And it will probably be a lot closer than what the last one was. But we may also just steamroll, because we have better familiars than he does. Okay, so my Corgs is dead. There is an option in the game where you can tell the game to effectively turn off idle and pause when you lose a person from your team. So I've got that on. So Cogs died, which has made this stop. So that's a really good way of, if you're playing idle, you know, say you have to go do something for a few minutes and you're like, oh, I'll just turn on the idle, it's fine. And if you come back and everyone's dead, this way, once one person dies, the game pauses, which is cool. But we'll turn it back on auto and do full auto and see what happens. I think we should have this. Okay, so it's 2 versus 3, although he's almost dead. So again, back to auto. So you can see there that we had our big guy at the back who was full health, but our actual character almost died, and our other 2 died. So it's always beneficial to do manual, particularly PvP and GVG and things like that, which we'll get to. I'm going to be saying that a lot, by the way, because there's a lot to this game. But if you don't have time or whatever, then you can just do auto and, you know, hope for the best in PvP. But strongly suggest that you do manual for PvP. Okay, let's speed things up because this has been going for 20 minutes and I want to get through all of these. And I don't want the video to go for too long, like a 50-minute video. Next is crafting. This effectively is where you will upgrade your gear. So depending on what gear you have and what tier it is. So I have tier 7 because that's the highest tier the game has currently to date. However, the new tier and a new raid is coming out in 3 days. I think it's 3 days. Let's go to news. 3 days and 18 hours, there will be a new zone and new raid, and then everything will go to tier 8. And I will be doing a video of this when it launches to showcase that as well. Because as I've mentioned, these videos are for newer players, and you will have no chance of getting to tier 8 anytime particularly soon. So I'll show you what that's about. But this is just a way to improve your gear. You click on the item you want, and then you hover over it. You can see what skills, what upgrades, how many points you get. So we get 2 into power, 2 into stamina, and 36 into speed. You can upgrade any gear you want into any of those stats. So I've chosen speed to be the primary stat. You could choose power to be the primary stat or stamina to be the primary stat. But for this particular one, I've chosen speed, and it shows you here what we need to do. So we've got more than enough gold. We've got 7.2 million, and we only need 100k. We need 28 epic materials. We have 29. I have a lot more than that, but I've got 29 at the moment. And then we need 240 of these ROM bits. I only have 92, so I won't be upgrading this anytime soon. And these ROM bits are a tier 7 drop, so you can only get them from tier 7. Exchange. This is where you can exchange your gear that you have just gotten in your travels. So if we go to the filter and we just get rid of all of this and say we just want to look at the common main hands that we've gathered while we've been playing. So I've got 2,100 of these Mark Flight bows and 2,100 of these broad strike swords. I basically haven't exchanged any gear in about 6 months or so. So I've got like a lot of random shit. But basically, say we'll just do this battle axe. I've got 109 of them. If I exchange this, let's go with 109 exchange. Are you sure? Yes. You will get stuff, depending on what it is. So if you exchange green stuff, you'll get common material. If we go back to the filter and we turn on epic, you can see here, I have actually exchanged quite a bit of epic stuff because you need that epic material. As you saw before, we needed 28 and I only have 29. But if we were to exchange these 2 things, we would get 2 epic material. So that's why I was saying I have more than the 29 that it's showing. Next is trade. This is where you can trade some of these materials for certain things. Maybe I'll go through this later. But it is useful, but you don't use it all the time. And then Reforge is a way of taking any gear that you have. And this is what I was saying before, where you can change the stats on it, where you want what you want the stats to be. So, for instance, doing this would change my neck piece from focusing on speed to averaging it out across all stats. This would be focusing on attack. This would be focused on defense, etc. So that's the crafting menu. Boss, this is world boss. World boss will be unlocked after you clear the 3rd dungeon in Wintermarsh. So Wintermarsh is the 2nd zone, which is this one. And this is the 3rd dungeon here called Gem's Cell, or Gem's Cell. I think it's Gem. Once you beat this, you'll unlock World Boss. The way World Boss works is, okay, you get this little dialogue the first time you do it as well. I think that's just because it's the first time I've played this game on Steam that's happening. But effectively, you, again, same thing with the tiers. I'm up to tier 7, so I can do anything tier 7 or lower. And there's 2 different types of world boss. There's Netherworld and All-Ag Clan. You choose which one you want to do and which tier you want to do. You team up with other people and you take on a world boss. So you probably won't get to that if you're new to the game. You probably won't get to that for a little bit, as it is you have to unlock the 3rd zone. Like, you have to beat the last dungeon in the 2nd zone. But when you get to that, you can get some sweet loot with that. Raid. Unlocking raid. This is raid 1. This is raid 2. This is raid 3. This is raid 4. And as I mentioned, the 5th raid is out in a few days. To unlock raid 1, you need to clear the 3rd dungeon in Lake Haven, which is the 3rd zone. So once you beat this one, is it that one? Yeah. Once you beat this one, you will unlock raid 1. Once you beat the final dungeon in here, you'll unlock raid 2. This one's raid 3. This one's raid 4. And then in 3 days, once you beat the final dungeon in that new zone, you'll unlock raid 5. So that's raids. We'll do a video on raids specifically, so don't worry about that too much just yet. Down here is your character, and this is with all your equipment and stuff. So as I said, I'm free to play. I've never spent a cent. All of the gems and stuff I've got, I've just earned from playing. And unfortunately, all of the things that I've bought with those gems to try and get accessories and pets, the best ones I've got have been rare ones, but some people get super lucky and get legendaries and epics and stuff, but I've just got rares. But again, I'm level 234, so it's totally doable with just rares. Don't worry too much about that. We've been to the shop, we've kind of seen what that's about. So for instance, this is the Hyper Defense accessory box. This will be, you can see here, these are all defensive accessories. If you buy this box for 850 gems, you will get 5 of the accessories below, guaranteed at least 1 rare or better. So you'll definitely get one of these blues. And then 4 others. Could be 4 greens, could be 4 of the same green, could be 4 legendaries if you're the luckiest person on the earth. But yeah, that's the way these work. Now, when you first start out, I highly, highly, highly suggest that you spend your first 400 gems on, initially, the first thing you spend 200 gems on is a small, where is it? Small defensive pet egg. So shielding is better than healing, but it doesn't seem like there is a shielding one. So the first thing you would do, I would highly recommend, is to buy a small defensive pet egg. Now, why that's the case is you can see here, even if you get the crappiest of the pets, you have a 10% chance to heal your team for X amount per turn. Now, that's 230 to 281 because I'm high leveled and high geared and everything, but that 230 to 281 is scaled off your power, so your attack stat effectively. Even though that's 10%, like, if you didn't have it, you wouldn't have it at all. So at least you have 10% of doing some healing. So that's like, these are the crappiest ones, obviously. Then the next tier up has 20% to do it. So there's also 3 types as well. There's per turn, when you hit an enemy, and when you get hit. So when you get hit, obviously really good for tanks. When you hit an enemy, really good for DPS. And per turn is just kind of run of the middle, good for everybody, effectively. So if we go here, we compare this 10% chance to heal for 230 per turn. This is 20% to heal for 244. Next tier up, 30% to heal for this, that, the other. And then the legendary will be 20% chance to heal for 258 onwards per turn when you get hit and when you hit. So it combines all 3 types. So every single turn, every time you hit someone and every time you get hit, you have a 20% chance of proccing that heal. Super, super good if you can get it. But I currently am using a shielding pet of the rare variety. So first things first, 200 gems, first 200 gems, small defensive pet egg. Trust me on that. Next 200 gems, get a small offensive accessory box, which same deal. You get different types of stats here, and we'll go through all the stats in another episode, but this one's 5% damage, 5% speed, 5% dual strike, 10% damage, 10% speed, 10% dual strike, 15, 15, 15, and then this one here is just a bit of everything. So spend those 400 gems on both of those things. Don't worry and don't be upset if you don't get anything particularly good. These small defensive bed, the small box and the small egg will only contain one thing, not the big egg that I showed before that had contained 5 different pets, guaranteed one to be rare. This you just get one, lucky dip. But don't be upset if you get a green of this and a green of the accessory. It's just good to have something. And then once you have those two, you can save up and get the bigger versions and, you know, guarantee yourself a rare or something. But definitely get that first and then that second. Familiars, we'll do that in another episode, but we talked about that, how you can catch these guys and use them in your flags to clear flags with, and certain familiars do certain things. There's tank ones, there's heals one, there's DPS, etc. Guild, I've gone over. Join a guild as soon as you possibly can. The reason for that is if you go to contribution, you can see here that as you play, you contribute to your guild. Now, this is a guild full of some friends that I've been playing with this game with for at least 9 months. Eagle Wars, Scissors here, Serenin, and some others in here I've been playing with for quite a while. And I left my guild and came here when Scissors kind of told me about it. He goes, hey man, like, come join our guild. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So I did that. So I only been around for a little bit comparatively to up here. But in doing that, you earn the contribution, and earning that contribution earns you these points here. I think it's called honor, but I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember. But you can spend this on it. So this is what 9 million or whatever it is contribution gets. You get about 775,000 effectively, and you can spend this on whatever you want. So you can buy some potions, you can buy a pet here, which unless you're a tank, I don't recommend getting. You can get this accessory here, but what you'll probably end up spending it on, or what I expend it on, is I get these potions. So this will increase your current energy by 50. So say you run out of energy, and you still want to play for a bit, you can just spend some honor points, buy that, and then you've got 50 more energy to go play around with. You can also spend it on item find scrolls and stuff, but that is for a later video. This is where you will enter for guild versus guild, or GVG. That's on a rotating roster with another thing called Invasion. None of them are active at the moment. When they do become active, I will make a video and showcase that as well. This is your friends list. As you can see here, I've got 80 out of 100. If someone's offline for more than 24 hours, I kick them off and make room for people that are more active. As I mentioned in the intro to this video, if you would like to be on my friends list, which means that you can take me into dungeons. So if you're starting out and you even, a free-to-play player like me at level 234, I'll be able to complete all 3 dungeons for the first 3 or 4 zones just by myself, me and you, like in the team. So it's highly advantageous to have someone high leveled on your friends list at a low level. So if you would like to be on my friends list, all you need to do is send me an invite in game. So if you just invite here and just type my name, which is ChookChook, and then write a comment on this video below saying, I've sent you a friend's request. My in-game name is, Davey or Vad1 or, War Trigger or whatever it is, so that I know it's you and not some random person. And I will keep some slots open for you guys and let you know when some more slots become available. Settings, pretty self-explanatory. You can go through this in your own time. Some ones to look out for though is there's a decline duplicate familiars. So that means, say I've caught Boo Boo here. If I don't want another Boo Boo, or I don't want the chance of catching another Boo Boo, I can turn that on to effectively, he's a common familiar. So I can just go decline, common or rares, only give me the option when an epic or legendary familiar pops up wanting to join your team. I leave it off because I just like to catch everything, and there's benefits to that, which we'll go through later. Decline merchants. Merchants will sell you stuff for gold or gems. I don't need any of it because I'm high enough level, so I've just declined it. But early on, maybe leave this off. and I would never ever spend gems on anything a merchant has to offer. But if there's something for gold and it's better than what you have and you can afford it, maybe. Decline treasures. This is for treasures that require a skeleton key to open. I've got better gear than any of those will give, so I've declined it. But again, starting out, maybe you can do that. However, if you're going to use a skeleton key on a skeleton chest, I highly recommend saving them until you get to raid 1 and then open any chests with skeleton keys in raid 1. If you do it before raid 1, you're kind of wasting them. So yeah, and then you can ignore shrine and bosses if you wanted to. And we'll showcase shrines and bosses in a combat video. Next is fishing, which is very recent addition to the game. It's only been out about a couple of weeks, I think. Honestly, it's kind of crap. It's kind of boring. I'll quickly show it off. There's an event for it, so you can see here the events. At the moment, I'm ranked 682, I think it was. You press start and you press cast when the bar is as full or empty as you want, and then you wait for the little thing to go down like that, and then you press catch when the fish is over. The green is 100%, the yellow is 75, the orange is 50, and the purple is 25. So if I click there, I have a 75% chance of catching a fish, and I caught a catfish. And then you trade it in for some materials, and you can then trade those materials in for like better rods and stuff. I don't know, it's pretty lame, honestly. But it may get better, who knows. This is the button for the developers congregate or whatever. That just goes to their website and stuff, so don't worry too much about that. And lastly is Gauntlet. So Gauntlet will be referred to as Gauntlet/Trials or Trials/Gauntlet. Each week they rotate. So this week it's Gauntlet, next week will be Trials. That will be unlocked after clearing the 3rd dungeon in the 1st zone. So if we go back to Bitbelly, the 3rd dungeon is this one, Lord Cerulean's Tomb. You beat this, you unlock Trials and Gauntlets. It's similar to PvP in the fact that you can use 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 tokens. Exact same thing. You get more rewards for the more tokens that you use. So what Gauntlet is let's quickly do a Gauntlet, right? Let's just do 150 so I know that I can just auto it and we don't need to worry too much. This is a tank, legendary tank familiar that I've fused. This is legendary healer that I've fused, and then there's myself. You can't use friends or guildies in Trials or Gauntlets, so you have to use the familiars. But we'll just leave auto on. Also, the audio sounds very loud. Let me know if it is loud and I can adjust it next time. But this is just a 10-round gauntlet of enemies. And the 10th round will have a boss. You beat them, you get loot. You don't beat them, you still get loot, but not as much. So if you cleared 7 rounds, you would get, 70% of the loot you could get, that type of thing. But if you complete it, then you will get loot. And then the level, if I'm doing level 150, the level is based on what you have unlocked already. So what zones you've completed and stuff like that, you'll be able to go higher levels. But I'm just farming level 150 at the moment because that's tier 7, just purely to get tier 7 gear so I can exchange it for the materials, which is what we saw before. I'm not too fussed about going any higher as the new zone and raid is about to come in. I'd rather just sit here and auto and not have to think about it. So we're up to 7 out of 10, almost done. And this is what I was saying before. This is where the game's kind of like slightly semi-idle game, semi-auto, because if you know that you can beat it like this, you can just set this to auto and go make a coffee, come back and collect your rewards. So you can play this game however you want. But if I was to do this manually, I would be able to clear a hell of a lot higher than 150. I'd probably be able to do like 170 or 180 maybe. Because I can pick and choose exactly who to attack. But doing it auto is set and forget, you don't have to worry about it. So this guy here is a little bit bigger than these dudes, than the others. He's the boss. Okay, instead. You get gold, you get XP, and you get some gear. And then again, you can exchange that gear for the materials to go and, you know, build or buy or whatever other stuff. But that, in essence, is Bit Heroes. So this was a very long episode. I gather that, and I appreciate it if you've watched to the end. And if you've learned something, definitely let me know. But from here, we'll go into specific episodes, you know, like little like 5-10 minute chunks of like quests, and then one about PvP maybe, or one about world bosses, one about raids, all the rest of it. So they're going to be shorter and condensed. So if you want to know a particular thing about a particular part of the game, you could just watch that video. But this was a brief overview of kind of everything. So that is it. As I mentioned, if you learned something, please let me know. I love to hear that I help out people with all the guides that I make for various different games. If you would like to be on my friends list, again, send me a request, but let me know in the comments that you've sent that request, because if it's a random person, I'm not going to accept them, and I'm going to only accept people that have said that they want to, you know, add me on friends in the comments, so that way I can save those 20 spots for 20 of you. And that is it. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed it. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.